I had just come out of a Hashimoto's flare, 2.5 days of me feeling better than I had in over a month. So when I grabbed that caramel corn and started to eat it, because I had been told that it was safe for my family and I wasn't worried. But as I'm eating it, I said, wow, this is really good. I wonder how she made it dairy-free. And then my mom says, oh, I did use some butter. It's just a little bit. And in that moment, I knew exactly what was about to happen. I had two choices. One, spiral into depression because I knew what the next few weeks were going to look like. Or I could plan before it hit. And this is what I chose to do. Hi, I'm Kay, and this is my soft season. Thanks for coming along on my journey of trying to create a life that I don't have to recover from and sharing those tips and tricks with you just in case you're looking for a soft place to land too. Now let's get into it. Those 2.5 days were absolutely delightful. I woke up on Friday morning and said, wow, I feel lighter. I feel fresher. I don't feel so fatigued. This is kind of amazing. My whole body isn't just full of pain, not feeling like it's full of lead. I had energy. I had a clearer focus. I felt like I could finally get back on track. But when you have lived through autoimmune flares before, you know the drop. And I've been dairy-free since 2013. This is not something trendy for me. This is not new in any way, shape, or form. This is life. It's not optional. So when I heard it's just a little bit of butter, I admit I felt a flash of anger. I had just started to feel better, and it's not just a little bit of butter. But I wasn't angry just because I couldn't have the caramel corn and it was another birthday party going by where I can't have the treats. This really reminded me how invisible chronic illness can be. But what I've been working on is I don't need everybody else to fully understand my body and the things that I carry every day. I just need to respond to it. I need to be aware of what is going on. And the hardest part for me about my autoimmune flares, it isn't just the fatigue. It's really knowing what's coming mentally. And 2 years ago, I would have spiraled. This would have led to potentially me shutting down, getting angry, feeling guilt because I can't attend a birthday party without someone having to cater to my needs. I would have probably pretended it wasn't happening and overcommitted anyways, because that was when I was in the grind hustle season of life. But this time, I wanted to make sure that I could adjust my life before my body forced me to. So what did I do instead of spiraling? I adjusted expectations immediately for myself and from others. When I am in an autoimmune flare, my energy tanks. My body hurts. Everything is harder, especially when it's not just stress-induced, but it's food allergy-induced, because then you're adding the stomach pains and the nausea and other gastro issues that come with that. So I looked at my calendar and I said, I'm going to be in this for the next 2 to 3 weeks. What is important? What can I get rid of? Find the non-essentials, get them out of here, because you need to make sure that when you have the energy, you can commit to the things that matter. For certain things that look like extending timelines or telling clients that I had to push something or even moving a planned play date, because I knew it would be hard for me to go be a great friend while I'm feeling terrible. Because when your energy shifts, your expectations should also. So I planned around my energy, not around hope. Yes, I had been feeling so good for those 2.5 days, and I thought this meant it was finally back on track, getting back to my normal output that I had. But I couldn't plan for that person that I had expected to enter the week as. I had to plan for who I would really be. I needed to protect my rest time. I needed a sort of bare minimum day for when I felt my worst. And the top thing I was doing and am still doing as I'm in the middle of this flare is planning a low energy priority list. And if I can be aware of myself, which for me, it looks like I cap out at around 3 p.m. I can't do anything in the late afternoon into evening aside from cook dinner and clean up the kitchen. But if I had any client work or any personal projects, I had to do it while the sun was out, while I was feeling okay. So when I planned out my next 2 weeks, I knew I was planning mornings, afternoons, and then leaving the rest of the day with basically nothing. Not to mention, we went to a toddler party on Saturday, and you might be able to hear, but I also got a cold because when you have an autoimmune flare, then your immune system is so busy attacking the other tissues in your body, it does not think about attacking the cold coming in, and it's much easier to get sick. So unfortunately, I'm also sick on top of this. But I am so thankful that I set up my weeks because now I definitely need those bare minimum days. And I'll tell you the biggest mistake in a moment that I didn't make this time. But before that, I do have to say, I also had to communicate very clearly with those around me. Because one of the hardest parts of a flare for me isn't the physical, it's the mental. My mood takes a nosedive, usually within the third day. And just a few days into this flare, I texted my husband and said, it's coming. I need you to be aware that the depression and the heaviness is starting. And I had to tell him that and communicate that clearly so that I could tap out when needed for both him and my kids. I had to say, hey, it's going to be one of those weeks. It's starting now. And so later, if you get home from work and the kids are screaming and I need to go up to our room for a little bit, please let me. And because I was communicating with him and not just keeping everything inside, I was able to tap out sooner than I would have. I was able to remove myself from a situation with my kids before I hit the short fuse. And it prevented silent resentment of wishing that he knew what I was feeling because I communicated effectively with him before it started. Being silent and keeping it all to myself used to turn into family stress. But now with communication, it's turned into a shared awareness where my husband and I can be on the same team. The biggest mistake I didn't make this time was pretending I wasn't in a flare. I didn't gaslight myself. I didn't aim for productivity. I didn't minimize it or just try to push through. I truly chose stability, not productivity. I wasn't trying to hit any new goals. I'm still not making any big decisions. I'm not making big changes. I am in maintenance mode. And I'm okay with that because it's not about pushing through. It's not about just getting to the end of the flare. It's about being stable while I'm in it so that when I come out of it, I'm in a better place. Now, this isn't completely about butter, but it is about knowing your patterns well enough to interrupt them. Because if you do get interrupted by something like an autoimmune flare and you're an entrepreneur, you're a mother, you're a wife, you're anything, you need to protect yourself and set some boundaries ahead of time so you can still show up for those who need you to. I want to build a life that bends with me instead of breaking. And this is why I talk about creating a life that you don't have to recover from, because I'm technically recovering from an autoimmune flare, but I'm doing it while it's happening. I'm staying stable. And so in a week or two, when I get over this cold and get out of the flare, and I have that first day where I feel okay again, I can just pick back up where I was. If your body doesn't always cooperate with you, but you still want to live intentionally, raise your kids well, build something meaningful, then you're not alone. I talk a lot about planning around your energy instead of fighting it. And if that's the kind of life that you're trying to build, then I'd love to have you subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for being here. Bye.